We've been hearing it multiple.
Hello everybody from Arlo White in the Live Broadcast Studio, and welcome to highlights of another excellent day's golf on Super Saturday in Greenbrier. Now, Live Golf history was made by this man, the high flyers Brendan Steele. This is his second shot at the par 5 17th. In it goes, the first albatross in league history, and it's Brendan Steele who is all smiles. Cam Smith teed off at 18 today. He made a par there, then proceeded to card a 27 over the front 9 holes to briefly take the lead. This was his third at 12, an eagle for Cam there, but he was overall level par through his last 8 holes and his 3 off the lead. Brooks Koepka is seeking a 5th Live Golf title. No other man has more than 3. A pair of 64s for Brooks. He's 12 under par. That was his birdie putt at 18. But today was all about Jon Rahm, who is hunting a second straight win in the Live Golf League after his first victory at the JCB in the UK, and he's also hunting down Wako Niemann for the overall title of Live Golf League champion for 2024. A remarkable round of 62 today for Jon Rahm. That was his second into 17. This is his tee shot at 18. And you wouldn't bet against Jon Rahm going back-to-back and taking a lead into the final regular season event in Chicago in 3 weeks' time, seeking a first prize of $18 million. And he rounded things off superbly with a birdie putt at the first, an 8 under par 62 today. Jon Rahm will take a 2-stroke lead into Championship Sunday. Ripper lead the team comp by 1.
It's Ferrall on a bench, coast to coast in the biggest way possible, hanging out. The bad seed, the broken eight, the bad apple with a bad attitude. We are live in New York City, the Big Apple. Ooh, people dressed in plastic bags, they're ready to traffic, some kind of fashion shake it up, stupid. Along with the original OG, the golf gangster, the Tater King himself, Carver High. Mafia running it with Luke, I am your father. Excuse me, I'm choked up. As you know, Carver High, today was a horrible day with the departure of the young gun to go back to San Diego State. He has left the Ferrall Palatial and headed back to San Diego, and I am in druthers. There's been a lot of choking up around here, a lot of crying, a lot of tears, a lot of depression at the house. Even the dog is in a foul mood after Gunner left to go back to college. The lineup gave Morency a double shot from Vancouver this very hour. Plus, within this hour, Mike DeCourcy of the Sporting News. And then in the final hour, Adam Hill from the Vegas Review-Journal talking about the Raiders, and then Coach James Young, our basketball analyst, also in the final hour, getting you set up for tonight's WNBA action, and any bets he's got, props he's got, we'll get it all in. Let's bring Carver High in now. As you can tell, Carver High, I am a bit choked up today. I couldn't even get through the open.
I could tell you're a little choked up, which is understandable. But, I mean, this isn't the first time. I mean, that was last year, right? First time sending him out there. I mean, you're used to this now. It was like, I mean, this is just another year now. You knew this was coming. You've experienced it. I mean, who am I to sit here and say anything? I haven't done this yet where I send him off for good. But that day will come. And you still have the other one eventually that you'll have to do it with for the first time. So send them off. Maybe won't be as far, though. The other side of the country, like the young gun picked. Maybe Maybe Chop will
I
keep
got
it a
these
little bit.
chicks. They're ganging
a
up
little
on
closer.
me over here at Carver High. They're ganging up on me. I got 34C, Granny. She's outlived 9 popes. She's immortal. And then young Chop, and then the dog. Of course, Boston is a leader of old oaks, but it's certainly different when he's not around. It's a drag.
Indeed, it is. And then you get to spend a lot of time with him the rest of the week too. So you have that to look forward to also after today. So you got a lot of time with all the females in the house. You have all that quality time over the next few days. So
I'm actually not looking forward to that at all. There's nothing. That's not something I'm looking forward to be honest with you.
All right.
I'll see if I can find something else to do in that window.
Go, take Boston for a nice long walk. A nice long walk with Boston.
Something I also do every day of my life that I don't enjoy.
Because Boston walks you. That's
the
why.
The first thing I do every day is feed the dog, and then immediacy. The walk is with immediacy. It's right after he's done burping the last inhale of food. He wants to go out immediately, and he doesn't just go out to cable. He wants to be walked for the morning debriefing. And then he usually, it's the funniest thing too. He picks like the same 2 or 3 neighbors to yam up in their yard. And every day I see these people like looking out the window at me as I'm scooping up a 30-pounder out of their yard.
That's his spot. That's where he likes to go. All right. We've got a lot to do here today, of course, as we always do on C2C. We'll get into all of the baseball. Last night, limited slate. You had all those teams bounce back a little bit, right? The Padres and the Diamondbacks didn't have a great weekend. They both won, took care of business. The Dodgers won as well. You had Muncy come back with a homer, Scotty. But I think the biggest news for all 3 of those teams that's kind of chasing in the NL West today is that, Marte's been banged up for Arizona, but now they've made it official, and they're going to be without him for a while. And he's really the guy that drove them to get back in the race in the National League West and to be one of those top 2 wild cards. So we got to see how they're going to handle that for a significant amount of time now.
Yeah, we bet on them last night, and the Dodgers and the Padres. They all hit, and obviously that's a huge loss for them. They've been playing great baseball, and he's the glue. So we'll see how they respond. I think right now, the facts remain. This is a tough game they got tonight against Bailey Ober at Petco. I'm sure we'll talk about it later, but there's some great games tonight.
There really is some great games tonight. And also you have a big Phillies and Braves series that starts in Atlanta. Now, look, it's getting late early for Atlanta in terms of the division, Scotty. Not only are they trying to hold on to a wild card, you'd have to think if they had any ideas of inching closer to the Phillies, they're going to have to pick up a couple of wins here at home over them the next couple of days.
I mean, obviously, and, I don't know how much faith I have in that happening. I mean, they got Harris back, fair enough. They lose, they've lost everybody. Albies, who haven't they lost on this team to injury? And now Riley. They have, Acuna. I mean, they've lost everybody. So I don't know how, but the Phillies are stacked, and that lead of theirs, I think, is insurmountable in the East.
It certainly seems that way. And the Yankees and Cleveland, of course, the 2 best records in the American League. They open a series in the Bronx, so we will get into all of that. NFL preseason week 3. Finally, the last week of preseason games starts on Thursday. I got all the numbers for you today. You got to give me the preseason plays today since you're not going to be here the rest of the week. So I got all the games Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I mean, a whole run of NFL preseason that we're going to have to go through. The Chargers got good news. They're going to have Justin Herbert back at practice today. I saw that Caleb Williams isn't going to play this week. Sounds like a lot of teams, Scotty, are going to put everyone in the cupboard before this week 3 final preseason action.
Yeah, I mean, this is the same theory. Why would you play them so they can get hurt? Is that the plan? Because that's all that ever happens when they do it. So there's tons of games. There's 2 Thursday. There's 3 on Friday. The rest are thick Saturday, and then 3 on Sunday. And I think, it's all day long on Sunday, 2, 4:30, and then a night game.
Yeah, you get a lot of the networks, of course, getting their final crack in terms of their preseason for getting things all set up. And college football starts on Saturday as well. We know that. We had our first, Scotty, travel snafu of the college football season. Of course, you've got some teams going long distances this week in week 0. We know that Georgia Tech and Florida State going all the way to Dublin. But the Hornets of Delaware State have to take the extremely long 10.5-hour flight to Hawaii for the late-night bailout blowout game this week. They missed their flight, Scotty, at JFK. They missed their flight to Honolulu. Snafu at JFK. Unbelievable. They're working on a plan. It's not like going to Florida, Scotty. They're going to Hawaii. They need to work on a better plan to get. Missed the flight. They didn't make it.
What kind of backward-ass, move is that? So, they had to take a bus hours on end to New York and to JFK. And how long was it?
Well, the flight's 10.5 hours to go from New York to Honolulu.
I know, but I can't keep track of all things going on in my head right now. I got a lot of people talking to me. They drove from Delaware to JFK, missed their flight. Nice job, morons. Way to screw that up. Who misses their flight? How does a team miss their flight to Hawaii? I mean, you talk about doofuses.
It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center, here in Salt Lake City, Utah, folks. What a night it is going to be. Historic indeed for BKFC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight. Harry on the top. Right hand from my Harry, double jab. Who's the king of violence? I am!
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
80 seconds remaining.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
You can catch Sports Rage weeknights at 10 East along all of our outlets on the TV side, TV stations, streaming networks, you name it, and on radio, Sirius XM Channel 159, Sports Byline USA, and all their affiliates. Like I said, weeknights at 10 with Morency. You can catch Morency on Coast to Coast every day. In the first hour, we do a double shot normally, and We start today with Anthony Edwards on your plate.
Yeah, Anthony Edwards. I wake up to Anthony Edwards talking about all the talk about the old players, but Michael Jordan was the only one that had skill until Kobe Bryant came along. And listen, I know that Anthony Edwards has said in the past that he's not an historian, that he didn't grow up watching the NBA that much, but the level of ignorance and arrogance of today's NBA player, and all of them, it's not just him, and he's one of the cooler ones. Like, they legitimately have zero respect for the players before them. They think they're the greatest players in the history of the world with their poses. I mean, Scott, they went 2-5 against the spread in the Olympics. They covered twice. Like, you barely won these games, and you're walking around with the flax, we're the greatest ever, but the lack of skill, yeah, because Magic Johnson had no skill at all, right, Scott? Isaiah Thomas had no skill. Dr. J, of course, no skill. No skill at all, Dr. J. Hakeem Olajuwon, like, I could go on and on. And what is it about NBA players, guys, that do this? You don't hear Nate McKinnon talk about, oh, Guy Lafleur sucked. He had no skill. We're way better than the old players. You don't hear hockey players say that. You don't hear baseball players call out the older generation. Same thing with the NFL. The NFL players have respect for past generations. The NBA are the only ones. And I can't wait until like 15, 20 years from now when Anthony Edwards is retired and he sees a bunch of dumbass kids talk about how bad he was and how unskilled he was. Because that's the cycle that we're in right now. I got to say, though, bro, like the NBA, like, and I love basketball. I actually love the NBA. But it's harder and harder and harder to, like, want to give them my money, knowing that they're just the big-ass jerks that they actually are.
And he hasn't won anything except
Nothing.
this. This is a team effort, the Olympics. I won't deny that they got it done and everything. I'm talking about in the NBA. He hasn't won anything. So, like, what has he got
and
in
he
the
talks,
NBA?
he's talking a lot for a dude that hasn't won, isn't he, Scott? About past players not having any skill. Like, really, dude? Like, come on.
I mean, there's a million players that are great that came before him. We could sit here all day and talk about great players.
It's their lack of respect. That's what it is. And partially ignorance, because a lot of them don't care enough to actually, watch the players of the past, or they'll watch a little bit of it. And I get it. I think that the modern player is really tired of hearing about how soft they are and in the old days. And I used to think Shaq was like Shaq and Chuck, right, on the the NBA show. I was like, man, these guys are hard on the modern player. Like, they're just sort of almost like old man yells at cloud angry. But now in hindsight, I kind of get it. Like Shaq said, he said the same thing about this Olympic run. He goes, bro, they should have won every game by 20. If they were all that, and like Shaq, they said, yeah, the other teams are good. He goes, no, they weren't. No, they weren't. And he's like, you can't beat Nicholas Batum by 20, right? And Shaq just sort of laid the hammer down. And, in the past, I thought they were a little bit excessive, but Shaq and Barkley know how arrogant these modern players actually are. So I actually like that they hold him accountable, and it burns them up inside. He's another one. I don't care if Chuck didn't win a championship or not. The guy was a badass that would dominate in today's NBA, Scott.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that. And then you just don't have rivalries. Like, back in the day, the Lakers and Celtic rivalry was so good and so intense. And there is no Laker-Celtic rivalry today at all. They try to pretend like there is, but it's null and void.
No, but great point, Scott. And I'm glad you bring this up, actually. In those days, it was harder to win because now players will lose to a team and want to join them after, Scott. Right? Like, in those days, it was like, no, we're the Celtics. We have the same guys every year. You're the Lakers. You got the same guys every year. And let's play again. Not this, well, you know what? We didn't win, so I'm going to join them. Right? Like, listen, I love Kevin Durant, but what has he done when he didn't join the Warriors, Scott? Has he won by himself?
No.
I know he's been dominant in the Olympics, and he's the greatest. He's the leading Olympic scorer ever. And it's not a criticism of KD, but you joined a super team. LeBron, you brought in all these guys. Like, you keep on hopping around. I give you the Cleveland one, right? And even the Laker one I give you props for. But it was different in the old days. You'd have to fight through, Scott. Sort of like baseball, bro. You used to no wild card. Remember, you had to win the damn division.
Yeah.
You had to win the division. There wasn't this, and a wild card and a play-in and a play-in that and a play this. No, win the division.
Cards.
Yeah, but we won 100 games. Too bad. The other team won 101. You don't make it. Like it's just softer now. Like, that's not disputed. Let's just call it out for what it is.
It's way better. It was harder to do everything back then than it is now. What is there? There's 6 wild cards in baseball that make the playoffs. 6 of them.
Look at the standings, Scott. It's ridiculous. Half the league's still involved. They're not good. Like the Cincinnati, you got teams that are 3 games out of 500. Oh, we're 4 games out. Yeah, okay, fine. Good for you. If this was 1982, you'd be 16 games out of a playoff spot right now.
Do you remember the the Pistons and Bulls back in the day when they were going at it? I mean, it was so violent. There's none of that in today's NBA.
No, and they think that, like, that it wasn't skilled somehow because it was like that. And listen, there was a couple of years where it got too demolition derby-ish in the NBA. Even I'll admit it. Like some of those Knicks and Heat series is like it went too far. Like, I don't want to see basketball when it's the first of 70 wins, Scott. You know what I mean? That's what it was.
Violent. It was
like 72-68, those Knicks Heat games and stuff. It was like, I literally remember the totals. I was like, man, total's 170 in this game. It's like a college total.
Morency's got some skinny on Sidney Crosby when we come back.
It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center here in Salt Lake City, Utah, folks. What a night. It is going to be historic indeed for BKFC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight. Harry on the target. Right hand from the Perry. Double jab. Who's the king of violence? I am!
Combat fighting in its purest form. Bare knuckle fighting in the city of Angels.
80 seconds remaining.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
Yeah, they're working on a plan, Delaware State, to get to Hawaii. I'm guessing they won't be taking that bus from Long Island to Hawaii. At some point, they have to go over water. And so the drive to California is 5 days. And then, like, how in God's name do you miss your flight to Hawaii? Like, honestly, does it even
Well, you live in
happen?
New York, Scott. As someone, and I've lived in New York before, so I think the people of Delaware should know. You got to leave super early, bro, if you're going to JFK. Right? Super early. And if you got a football game to play and a 10.5-hour flight coming up, you get there even earlier.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, if you're Delaware State, Scott, they should have showed up like a day early to the freaking airport.
I
Yeah,
agree.
they left and they had bus issues on the way in Jersey. Who has it, right? So it's like, all right, like you couldn't see this coming. And I could just picture them sitting, all these kids all excited to go to Hawaii to play a football game in which they're 38.5-point underdogs in. I was actually thinking the number was a little high, Scott. Hawaii have a hard time beating anybody by 38 points, Scott. Let's just be real. This isn't even Delaware. This ain't the Blue Hens. This is the Hornets.
Right.
But still, Delaware State still plus 38.5. You know what, Scott? I'm actually hoping that some people overreact to this and somehow this spread gets bet up like a lot. Oh, they're stuck. Listen, it's Tuesday right now. They got time. They're playing Saturday night. They got time to get there. My guess is they might get stuck. Like they might have to stay at a hotel tonight at the airport and get out of town tomorrow.
Can you imagine? Yeah, like Mafia just texted me that
Delaware State don't have money to book like a hotel for 80 people. Sorry, I'm just laughing about this. Like this 70, is a travesty.
Can you imagine 70 empty seats on a 11-hour flight to Hawaii?
It's great if you were on that flight. You're kicked back right now.
Right. You got your own row now to sleep the entire way. So what do you know about Sidney Crosby?
Well, this is a story that's been developing for a little while right now. Obviously, from the Penguins not re-signing Jake Gensel, who was willing to re-sign there, but they, quite frankly, didn't want to pay him. So what is the plan? I don't think a lot of people can have a lot of confidence in Kyle Dubas, former GM of the Leafs, who's running the Penguins right now. He's sort of all over the place. And we all sort of thought and knew he was brought in there to be the bad guy. I'll be the one that trades Crosby. I'll be the one that sort of breaks this team up. But don't worry about it. I'll put it together. He's a modern analytic guy with a bunch of older players. He doesn't like his team. They don't like him. It's a weird like mix in Pittsburgh right now. Crosby's been there like half of his life, like half of his adult life, like literally. That's all he knows. All he knows is Quebec. Like Nova Scotia, Quebec, and Pittsburgh. Like 3 places he's been, and that's it. Right? He played for Rimouski, and he's from Nova Scotia. So he doesn't like change, man. Like he's a very, very routine type of person. Yet, Scott, you couldn't blame him at this point. This isn't like charity or something. The dude's one of the best players in the NHL still. I don't care. He's 37 years old. He's literally, and he just had one of his best years in recent years. He's at the top of his game. We're going into the last year of his contract, guys. This is it. Sidney Crosby's a free agent after this hockey season. He hasn't signed yet. And the word from Jason Mackey in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette is it's very worrisome that him and his agent have backed off, even talks about this. It looks like we are going to go into a year here in which Crosby's going to be in his last year of his contract. Let me bring up. They're playing the Four Nations Cup this year, which is a rehearsal for the Olympics. Team Canada, USA, Sweden, Finland, 4-team tournament. He's going to be around all the best Canadian players in the National Hockey League, playing with them. It's going to be a heavy recruitment job. Nate McKinnon's from the same town as Crosby is, small town in Nova Scotia, same area, same as Marchand of the Bruins. They're all from the same area. My guess is if he leaves, he ends up on the Colorado Avalanche. I'm just throwing that out there right now. Or small shot with the Vancouver Canucks. Jim Rutherford's the Canucks GM. Or president, I should say.
Sorry, Scott. News just keeps pouring in today. Gunnar goes back to college at San Diego State, and now
Morency tells you Crosby's going to be going to the Avalanche.
Oh, God, the humanity. Mafia, get my Tums and a bottle
That's just
of
my
rum.
take, Scott. Just my take. Yeah, that's my opinion.
Now, he lived with Lemieux when he came up.
Yeah.
I still think he finishes with the Penguins. I'll believe it when I see it.
That's my bet. That's my gut pick.
It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center, here in Salt Lake City, Utah, folks. What a night. It is going to be historic indeed for BKFC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight. Harry on the top. Right hand from my boy, double check. Who's the king of violence? I am!
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of Angels.
80 seconds remaining.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this thing all the way to the top now.
Mike DeCourcy, of course, is a legendary writer with the Sporting News. You see him on Fox Sports doing basketball. Same thing with the Big Ten Network. He's everywhere. He's also on Coast to Coast every week, right here on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Mike, good to see you. I want to start with Pochettino, the new coach of the U.S. men's soccer program. Used to coach at Chelsea. Didn't seem to see eye to eye with the owners there. And they haven't changed. They started their season with a bang, a 2-0 loss to Man City the other day at Stamford Bridge. So I'm sure Pochettino got a kick out of that, and now he's coaching the U.S. squad.
Yeah, it's a fantastic hire for the United States. Under the circumstances that they found themselves, they could not have done a better job of making the hire. If Jurgen Klopp had been willing to coach the team for whatever the U.S. could have afforded, and I don't know exactly how high they could have gone, then there would have been one available candidate who would have been better. I don't think there was anyone else who was without a job who would have been a better hire than Mauricio Pochettino. And one of the things that's interesting about the reaction to him, and most of it's been pretty positive, Scott, but there's been a reaction to him that he hasn't won anything, which is a lie on multiple fronts. First of all, he did win the French league with Paris Saint-Germain in one of his 2 years there, and he also won a French Cup in one of his 2 years there, and he also won a Cup in his time with Tottenham, and he made the UEFA Champions League a final and lost to Liverpool in the 2019 season. And just getting all the way there is a monumental achievement, just like Purdue playing in the championship game against Connecticut this year. You don't brush that off and say you didn't win anything, Matt Painter. He made the Final Four. That reaction has been really disappointing. And then the other factor, Scott, is that I use this metaphor all the time. Not every coach is playing the same course. If you're the coach at UCLA basketball, you are not playing the same course as the person who is the coach at Northwestern basketball. It's a harder job at Northwestern, so the standards are different. Getting in the NCAA tournament, which Chris Collins has done multiple times at Northwestern, that's a monumental achievement. At UCLA, they want you in the Final Four. They want you to win it because it's been done before. So coaching at Tottenham, which does not have one of the highest budgets in the Premier League, and being as relevant as they were during his time there, is a lot harder than going to Manchester City and having every single player that you want presented to you because your team is owned by oil trillionaires. So I think there has to be an understanding that Pochettino did really well under difficult circumstances. Now, he also, as I mentioned, he coached at Paris Saint-Germain, which is also owned by oil trillionaires, but he did win there. He did not win a Champions League, but he did win.
How did Kevin Durant get so many friends that were oil trillionaires to get a piece of Paris Saint-Germain? Like, he bought a piece of the team the other day.
He did. Hey, if KD wants in, you let him in, right? Great guy, very invested in sports at all levels, in all kinds of different areas. Although he only spent a year at Texas, he's always been a loyal Longhorn and has been invested in their program. Obviously, more so when his coach, Rick Barnes, was there. Than maybe in subsequent times, but still invested in the program and the university. And so I want, if Kevin Durant wants to be on my side, and he was on my side theoretically as the American Olympic star 4 times, if he wants to be on my side, I'm taking him.
So you ranked the best basketball teams in the Olympics in terms of in the NBA era. Can we go down some of your favorites? So I guess 9 was the 04 team. That had to be 9 because they were the team that got the bronze.
Yes. That was an easy choice, Scott. It was just a question of what you would say about that. And I look back at that era of USA basketball, and they were kind of lost. 2003, the World Cup, what was then the World Championship, now called the World Cup by FIBA, was played in Indiana. So it was a home game, and they still finished 6th. And then they went to the Olympics the following year with kind of a mismatched team. And it was Allen Iverson was the central star. Tim Duncan was there as a great player, but they took Stephon Marbury. You don't take Stephon Marbury and Allen Iverson to the same Olympics. They are the same player. One's better than the other, but they're the same player. You can't have them on the same team. And Larry Brown did that. And as well, he took LeBron James and then didn't play him, which was another mistake that he made.
In 2020, the 8th-ranked team, they won the gold. Durant was the leading scorer at 20.7 per.
That was the most difficult gold I think the U.S. has ever had to win. Because they were struggling to get American players to go. It was in the middle of the pandemic. Stephen Curry had reasons. LeBron had reasons. They had all played a very great amount of basketball in a row because we had the delayed season in 2020. And so they basically started up the season again in August, played a couple of months, took like a month off, and then played a full, not quite a full, but most of a full NBA season and then playoffs. That year, we had the NBA Finals in July, and the Olympics started like 5 days later. So that's how hard it was. So I even though they were ranked 8th, it was a real achievement. KD, Jason Tatum, Damian Lillard struggling and then adapting a role and embracing the role because he wasn't hitting shots. They deserve a ton of credit.
So I want to jump to the number 1 team. It was the 92 Dream Team, right? And
yes,
they won by an average of 43 points a game, and Barkley averaged 18 and was their leading scorer.
I didn't want to make them number 1 because their competition wasn't as strong as any of the others. It continually got better. And part of the problem with the competition, there was another great team out there in the early 90s that would have at least been interesting. That was Yugoslavia. But by the time the 92 Olympics came around, Yugoslavia was no longer a country. Croatia went one way, Serbia went another, etc. And so there wasn't any real competition, but that team was just overwhelming. They had so much talent. It was so great. That team was so great that even though Larry Bird was on his last wheels because of his back injury, and Magic Johnson hadn't played the full season because he had tested positive for HIV, even though those two players were in that circumstance, and theoretically maybe players 11 and 12 or 10, or excuse me, I should say 10 and 11 because Christian Laettner was only out of college that year. They still were just overwhelming. And those two players played great as well.
The second best was the 2012 team that won by an average of 32 points a game, and KD led that team at 19 and a half a clip.
KD's entry into that program was the difference between 08 and 2012, because in 08 they had Melo in his prime, as well as LeBron and Kobe, but then they add KD to that mix as well, and that's where it makes the difference. And I think, again, the competition was getting better. Spain was better in 12 than even they were in 8. Because Marc Gasol had come along and become a significant player. So you had both Gasols, you had a terrific array of talent around them, both international and NBA based. And it took a real effort from the United States to win it, but they did.
The third best team was the Atlanta team in 96 in Hot Town, where Barkley averaged 12-4, and they won by an average of 23 points. Great memories of all the great Olympic basketball teams. Mike DeCourcy, always good talking to you. Thanks for the skinny on the new U.S. men's soccer team.
It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center, here in Salt Lake City, Utah, folks. What a night. It is going to be historic indeed for BKFC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight. Harry on the top. Right hand from my Perry. Double check. Who's the king of violence? I am!
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
80 seconds remaining.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
Are you ready to talk some baseball, Carver High?
Certainly are, as we get things going here on a Tuesday on C2C. Let's get into some stuff from last night before we get into the very big slate for tonight. Everybody is in action on a Tuesday. We'll start in Los Angeles, Scotty, where the Dodgers back home with the Mariners in town, and one of their familiar faces finally back in the lineup. Max Muncy saying hello back to Los Angeles on Sportsnet LA.
Third baseman had a 560 OPS. That ball is hit hard, deep right field, and Max Muncy has gone deep in his first game back. 3 months away, comes back, and it's just like old times.
Same thing with Betts. Remember, Betts came back first game, home run. Muncy comes back first game, home run. I mean, what else is new?
What else is new? As the Dodgers, like we've been saying for the last few weeks, starting to get healthy. a little bit. And although Freddie Freeman did have, Scotty, hairline fracture in his finger, but he's going to play through it. We've had a lot of guys with fractures in their hands, their fingers, hit by pitch, etc. Freddie's going to give it a go, and he's going to stay in the lineup every day. So we'll see how that goes for him, Sky. That's tough. I mean, hands, wrists, arms, that's what it takes to swing that bat. So we'll see if Freddie can do it.
Yeah, I got to see how it works to believe it. I mean, I don't know how you swing a bat with broken fingers and how you have success holding the bat and driving the ball and everything else with a broken hand, broken fingers, broken wrist. I mean, listen, I told you yesterday that Herbig, the guy from the Steelers, had a torn rotator cuff. I said, oh, he's done. I said yesterday on the show, I said, he's done. They're evaluating it. No, he's done. You tear your labrum, you tear your rotator in any sport, now you're done. It's 9 months. It's, it's basically ACL tear. It's basically an Achilles. You're done for 9 months. What season lasts 9 months? No season. So he's going to miss the whole season. I told you that would happen. And I don't believe guys can play with, I'll tell you what, I play basketball with broken fingers a lot. I really do. But, I'm not hitting a baseball 100 miles an hour. I think it's an entirely different thing to hold a bat or to golf. If you look at Speed, he's got a banged up wrist, he's finished. You got banged up fingers golfing, you're finished. You got banged up fingers playing baseball, you got a problem.
You certainly do. We'll see how it goes for Freddie. Elsewhere in the NL West, as we mentioned earlier, the Diamondbacks, after having a very rough weekend in Tampa, headed south Beach to see the fish. And let's just say they got back to their winning ways in a big way. Young Jock Peterson on MLB Net.
Young
Jock slams it to right, and that's way gone. Upper deck in Miami. Jock Peterson, that's number 20, and it's 5-1.
My goodness.
Yep, you could hang clothes on that line drive. Wow.
That was a rocket ship.
What?
Your boy.
Did you hear him? Anyway,
Clothes on the line.
Yesterday on the show, we told you they got swept in the Trop by the Rays, who are a much better team than the lowly Fish. And we said they're going to play Miami. They're going to win because Miami stinks like raw fish. And that's just all there is to it. And they put 9 on them.
They certainly did. They'll try again tonight down there in South Beach. We mentioned Marte, IL, sprained ankle, going to be some time. He tried to play through it. He was in and out of the lineup for about a week, and they have finally had enough. They're going to let him rest for a while. The Padres also getting things done against the Twins at home 5-3. Now, I don't like Scotty playing highlights from this guy because I feel like we've played a lot lately, and that means that he's inching a little bit closer to our boy Skeens in the NL Rookie of the Year race. It was Jackson Ferrall clearing the bases last night on MLB.net.
Jackson Merrill comes to bat with the bases loaded, 2 down in a tie game, 3rd inning. It's that one a long way to left center field. Jackson Merrill has found the gap. Profar and Cronenworth have scored. Bogarts is on his way. He's going to score a 3-run double. And Merrill madness in San Diego.
I mean, this guy is really having a season. He's tearing it up for the Friars.
He really is tearing it up for the Friars. That's for sure. They've been outstanding, as we know, and they still, they haven't had Tatis in forever now. And it's funny. I don't know if they want him back, Scotty. They played better since Tatis got hurt.
They owe him so much money, dude.
I know.
The minute that guy comes back, he's in the lineup.
Oh, no doubt about that. But it is amazing how he goes out, and they've been one of the best teams in baseball. We had
Honestly.
several walk-offs last night around the league. Let's play our first one here. We'll do the rest after the break. Mets and the Orioles. Mets had a 3-0 lead in this game, Scotty. Orioles came back and tied it at 3 late on a Urias homer. Bottom of the 9th, threes, and Francisco Alvarez up on SNY.
Now Francisco Alvarez, who's 0 for 2 and a walk tonight.
Alvarez swings and he drives one deep left center field. Mullins looks up and it's out of here. Alvarez swings 3-0 and he wins the game for New York with a walk-off home run in the bottom of the ninth.
Cover. Here's another game we hit last night. We hit a bunch of bets last night and a big walk-off win for the Mets. They needed that. They have been, skidding badly.
They certainly have. And they helped the Yankees out in the process, right? Yankees were off last night. They give the Orioles a loss, so now the Yankees a half-game lead over Baltimore once again in the AL East. All right, we'll come back. I'll give you the rest from last night. Tough night for the Pirates because they had to face Corey Seager. That's why the Pirates lost last night. Not a good scene there. I'll give you the late night stuff with the A's, the Giants, etc. The other walk-off was in Houston. We'll do that as well. A lot more to do.
I told you the Pirates would lose at Globe. It didn't matter that they won the series against Seattle. They went right out losing.
It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center, here in Salt Lake City, Utah. Folks, what a night. It is going to be historic indeed for BKFC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight. Harry on the target for the left-hander. Right hand from McCarry. Double check. Who's the king of violence? I am!
Combat fighting in its purest form. Bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
80 seconds remaining.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
Always like to give Carver High injury updates. I have I've had, as you know, several hernias over the years. I've had 6 of them, 6 surgeries on hernias. And I have one right now, like an inflamed, like lit up hernia that I've obviously torn again or something. And I mean, it's, dude, I mean, it hurts so bad that it just is shooting down into my satchel page. And I mean to tell you, I played last night with it. It hurt so bad, I didn't even care. It hurt so bad, I just didn't even care. I felt like I had a piece of steel riding into my groin. And I have been sitting here all day, just this last hour. I need a bottle of whiskey. Shut up. Just keep talking baseball. I'm over here eating pills. I'm eating Tylenol.
You're going to be all right. You're going to be all right. We're going to get you through one way or the other. How'd you play with that? That's just the,
I just played with it. I always try to say it hurts worse when I'm not playing.
Sounds like it hurts worse now.
I had some kid guarding me last night. They put some little kid on me, and he was like 5'11", but he's a great player. He's a great guard. Like, he's faster than a mosquito. But he couldn't guard me. I couldn't guard him, but he